What up guys, in this video I'll be going over 5 essential things you need to know to level up your game. These tips do not require you to spend hours in a training lab mastering your execution, but more about sharpening your mentality and applying those strategies in real time. I'll be using in-game footage from my actual matches, showcasing my wins using these strategies and my losses to emphasize the importance of being mindful while playing. This video is for intermediate players, but if you're a beginner, you can start applying these strategies now to get a head start. Let's first talk about the move that everyone loves when it works and hates when it backfires, drive impact. When Street Fighter 6 first came out, a lot of people were vocal about the mental stack this game layers on you. In a match, you're required to be aware of all the possible options the opponent has. Raw drive rushes, jumps, projectiles, and on top of that is the character-specific animations of the drive impact. To help simplify and organize the mental stack, I'll go over the key places and times that players are more likely to DI so you're not solely relying on reaction to counter it. The first thing to think about is the position. Players are more likely to DI when you're near the corner. Being aware of where you are on the screen can help you start getting set up mentally. Not only should you be mentally prepared for the drive impact, but you should also be mindful about your button and move choices while you're in the corner. Avoid using buttons that have a long recovery time, especially if you cannot cancel its drive impact from it. You can also bait the drive impact by whiffing the fast recovery buttons, since most players will be looking for patterns and opportunities to DI. If you're playing a character that has projectiles, try your best to not autopilot your offense, since projectiles have a long recovery window that makes it easily punishable by DI. To be fair though, every time you go on offense, you're putting yourself at risk. Even when you're not in the corner, opponents will be looking for ways to counter you, and using DI will be one of them. This general guideline will help you become less predictable, so opponents will have a harder time deciphering your strategy to open you up. I'm not saying to always play safe, because in fighting games in general, you gotta take risks at times to break the mental barrier between you and the opponent. I just want to emphasize the importance of recognizing your own behaviors and patterns so you can minimize the chances of your opponent hitting you with a quote-unquote random DI. Next up are punish counters. When you hit your opponent during the recovery frames of their buttons or specials, it puts them in a punish counter state that grants 4 additional frames of hit advantage to your move and deals 20% more damage. This means that new combo routes are accessible to you that otherwise wouldn't be possible. It's important to research and practice punish combo routes, so when the opportunity presents itself, you're able to capitalize on damage or gain positional advantage. Also, punish counter state is possible on aerial opponents. I know in the past we were hardwired to punish moves outside of DPs with a standard combo and call it a day, but in this game, punish counters were intended for players to squeeze as much damage as they can. The best way to learn a punish counter combo is to go in the lab and have a character perform a special or a move that's punishable, and find an optimal combo route for max damage or a sequence to gain positional advantage. In this tip, I'm going to focus on the usage of level 3 super. First, let's refresh our knowledge on what a level 3 super does besides damage. During a level 3 super, the attacker's drive gauge will continue to refill while the opponent's drive gauge pauses and gets chipped away from the super. Same goes if the attacker is in burnout state. It'll continue to refill for the attacker while it pauses the burnt out opponent's drive gauge, allowing a chance for the attacker's drive meter to replenish before the opponent. Drive gauge should be treated like a second life bar, because it could quickly change the tide of the game, especially when players start gunning to get you into burnout state. With all that being said, let's talk about when to use level 3 super. If you have a level 3 super available and you're 1 round ahead, use it. Get the life and drive gauge lead early on, so that way you can start building up your super bar as the round progresses. If the game goes into round 3, you should have regained your super bar for offensive and defensive purposes. Another good use of level 3 super is when you're in burnout and you need time to get your drive meter back. Remember, it pauses the refill of your opponent's drive gauge while yours continues during the animation. Using your super is basically granting you bonus time to get your second life back up. To tie it all back, remember that level 3 super is not only useful to close out games, but using it strategically at key moments in the match can change the outcome of the game. Obviously, fighting games is about who can deplete the other person's life bar faster, so damage is important, but it's how you create the opportunities is what matters the most. Every player can agree that being in the corner is the worst place to be in, even if you have the life lead. It could change the pace and outcome of the game drastically. I know you watch matches where a player will get a successful punish counter drive impact from the corner, but instead of going for their heaviest combo, they choose to back throw them and switch sides. From a spectator view, it's confusing because why wouldn't you get the damage? The difference between us and them is that these players are thinking long term. They know that they have a better chance of winning if they have their opponent in the corner, since it forces the opponent to focus more on defense versus offense. Couple that with a dwindling sliver of drive gauge, and you have an opponent that's going to be fighting for their life. Always keep in mind that if you put your opponent in the corner, the chances of you winning skyrocket because your opponent's mental capacity will be maxed out. They'll have to think about drive impact, throw loops, drive gauge, and how to get out of the corner. So with your character, find what combo routes you could take to have you switch sides with your opponent, or if you get a successful drive impact, think long term and get the positional advantage. So we just talked about setting yourself up in a good position and thinking long term. The same goes when you've put your opponent in burnout. This is your opportunity to capitalize on chip damage, and since your opponent will naturally play more defensive, the easier it'll be for you to put them in the corner. If you have them in the corner and they're still healthy, keep them there as long as you can while harassing them with specials to chip away at their health. They'll most likely be looking for an opening to jump out or pumping the inputs for super to react to drive impact, so use this to your advantage. Make them exhaust all their options while slowly chipping away at their health. If you go for the wall splat stun right away while they're still healthy in life, they'll get all their drive meter back when they recover, and it's almost like you never got the stun anyway. Make the most out of them being burnt out and only go for the wall splat when you've done enough damage to gain a significant advantage. Applying these strategies and exploring your options will be the next step in your development. While you can have the best execution, you'll have to develop your mental strength to separate yourself from the average player. It's going to take a lot of discipline to put this into practice, but you'll slowly see it pay off as you fine-tune your strategies. That's it for now. If you found any of this helpful and want more videos like this, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I also stream on Twitch if you want to catch me live. And if you want, join our community on Discord. It's full of like-minded people who also play fighting games. Anyways, thanks for watching. Until next time, GG's, and I'll see you later. Peace!
Don't turn back, I ain't leaving alone. You feel that? I feel that. Yeah. You electrify me when you exercise me. When you take me to a place I've never been before. One thing's for certain, we can make it worth it. When it takes control